Hello students! In this video, we are going to talk about the superlatives. First, watch the previous video about comparatives so that we can then later study the superlatives. First, we need to remember the short and the long adjectives. We can have short adjectives and we can have long adjectives. Short adjectives are those adjectives that finish or that have one syllable, or those adjectives that have two syllables finished in Y. Let's see a few examples. Some adjectives that have one syllable can be tall, great, nice. Some adjectives that can have two syllables finished in Y can be angry or lazy. You can see angry finish in Y, lazy finish in Y. On the other hand, we have long adjectives. Long adjectives can have two syllables not ending in Y or three or more syllables. For example, some examples of adjectives with two syllables that do not finish in Y can be honest or famous. They have two syllables and do not finish in Y. Some examples of adjectives that have three syllables can be dangerous or difficult. They have three syllables, or they can have more syllables. So those are long adjectives. Now, what's the difference between the comparatives and the superlatives? Well, the comparatives are used to compare two elements. For example, I can compare two people, two things, two cities. I can say my house is bigger than your house, or I am taller than my brother, or I don't know, my sister is more beautiful than me. And now we have the superlatives. The superlatives are used when we compare three or more elements. I can say three houses, many students, all the cities, everyone in the class. In those cases, we can use the superlatives. Now, the superlatives work a little different than the comparatives. For example, here I have an apple, here I have a pineapple, and here I have a watermelon. I can say the pineapple is bigger than the apple, of course, or the pineapple is smaller than the watermelon. But if I want to compare all of them, I can say something like this. The watermelon is the biggest fruit. We have three elements, and we are talking about this watermelon that is big. So I say the biggest. The watermelon is the biggest fruit. If I talk about the apple, I can say the apple is the smallest fruit. The smallest fruit. Now, attention. We use EST with short adjectives. Big and small are short adjectives. Let's see a different example. Here I have player number 1, here I have player number 2, here I have player number 3. We have three basketball players. I can say that basketball player number 3 is bigger than 2, or that 2 is bigger than 1. But if I want to compare all the players, I can say something like this. Number 1 is the shortest player in the team. The adjective short is a short adjective. I can say the shortest player. Or I can say something like this. Number 3 is the tallest in the team. Is very tall, but is the tallest of all the players in the team. Now, short and tall are both short adjectives. What happens with long adjectives? Well, let's suppose here we have maths, one of the subjects in school. We have history, and we have arts. Maybe one of these is boring or interesting. So I can say something like this. Maths is the most boring subject at school. Here I have the adjective boring. Boring is a long adjective. So in this case, I say the most boring. And every time I have long adjectives, I can say the most. The most boring, the most beautiful, the most amazing, the most fantastic. With long adjectives, I say the most. In this case, I can also say art is the most interesting subject at school. The most boring, the most interesting. Let's see a different example now. Here I have broccoli. Many people do not like broccoli. We have also beans, which are okay. And we've got pizza. So in this case, I can say, for example, broccoli is the most disgusting food ever. Broccoli is the most disgusting food ever. The most disgusting. Or I can say something like this. Pizza is the most delicious food in the world. From all the food in the world, pizza is the most delicious. So, with short adjectives, we say the est, the shortest, the longest, the biggest, the smallest. And with long adjectives, the most disgusting, the most delicious, the most fantastic, the most amazing. But we have three special cases: good, bad, and far. Good, in the comparatives, we say better. For instance, my house is better than your house. But if I want to compare many houses, I can say my house is the best house in the world, for example. Let's go with bad. In the case of bad, we have worse is a comparative. For example, your house is worse than my house. Your house is worse than my house. But if I want to compare it from all the houses, I can say your house is the worst house in the world. And I can also say far, lejos, far. Further is a comparative. For example, I can say my house is further from the center than your house. And finally, we have the furthest, the superlative, the furthest. My house is the furthest from the mountain, the furthest compared to all the houses. All right, and that's the superlatives. Thank you very much for your attention.